Power is not a fact, it is a story that people tell about you. The throne is not built from truth, it is built from belief. When people believe you are strong, you become strong. When they believe you are uncertain, your authority dissolves like dust in the wind. The greatest mistake most people make is thinking that truth protects them. They believe that if they explain themselves, if they show their innocence, if they defend their actions, others will see reason and respect them. But the world does not honor reason. It honors perception. The moment you start defending yourself, you confess weakness. You confirm that another person's opinion holds weight over yours. And when your words begin to sound like excuses, you surrender the illusion of power that others once saw in you. Those who truly hold influence understand that power thrives on mystery. A man who rushes to defend himself reveals his fear of being misunderstood. But a man who remains silent projects the aura of control. Silence does not beg for belief, it demands interpretation. People begin to wonder, does he not care what others say? Or does he know something they do not? In that uncertainty, power grows. When your enemies speak, and you remain calm, their noise becomes a confession of their anxiety, while your stillness becomes proof of your strength. Consider the nature of human judgment. People do not weigh evidence, they read emotions. When you try to justify yourself, your tone trembles with the need to be believed. They feel your desperation before they hear your words. But when you stand still, when you let their accusations echo unanswered, they begin to question their own perception. If he were truly guilty, they whisper to themselves, would he be this calm? That doubt works in your favor more powerfully than any argument could. The masses do not follow truth, they follow the shadow that looks most solid. To command perception, one must understand that power is a performance. Every act, every pause, every gesture builds an image larger than the truth. The wise do not argue, they influence what others see. When attacked, do not defend your character, project your dominance. When someone questions your motives, question their right to ask. When they demand explanations, change the subject with quiet confidence. The mind of the crowd will always fill in the blanks, and what they imagine will often be greater than what you could ever explain. The illusion of certainty is stronger than the reality of correctness. The powerful understand this and never fight to be right. They fight to be believed. A man who is right but looks weak will lose to a man who is wrong but appears untouchable. Perception builds loyalty, truth builds debate. The one who controls the image controls the outcome. Therefore, cultivate an image of unshakable calm. Let your silence speak for you. Let your enemies exhaust themselves trying to define what you refuse to explain. In the arena of influence, every defense is a confession. Every justification is a surrender. When you argue your innocence, you imply that someone else's opinion can judge your worth. But when you remain unmoved, you silently declare yourself beyond their reach. Power is not found in convincing others. It is found in making them wonder. You must appear as though their words cannot touch you, as though the battlefield of reputation belongs to you alone. This creates an invisible hierarchy. They chase your approval, and you withhold it. They question you, and you answer with stillness. Their agitation becomes your advantage. Perception does not belong to the honest, it belongs to the disciplined. Control how you are seen, and the truth will bend to fit your image. When people cannot predict you, they cannot control you. When they cannot control you, they begin to respect you, even fear you. That fear masters admiration, cements your position. It is better to be mysterious than transparent, better to be questioned than explained, better to be doubted than dismissed. The art of holding power lies in refusing to be understood too easily. Every explanation limits you. Every defense narrows your legend. The powerful are not loved for their truth. They are revered for their aura. When people cannot fully define you, they fill the space with stories, with awe, with fascination. Those stories become the architecture of your authority. So never hand your truth over to others, guard it with silence, and let them build their myths around you. You owe no one your justification. The moment you feel the urge to explain yourself, remember that power is not maintained by proving who you are, but by allowing others to believe what they must. Truth may win arguments, but perception wins empires. Harfe emotion is a weapon, not a reaction. Emotion is the most dangerous currency in the pursuit of power. It can elevate you above men, or it can expose the cracks in your armor. Most people believe that emotion is honesty, that to show anger or frustration is to prove passion and sincerity. But in truth, emotion is the leash that others use to pull you where they want you to go. The moment you react, you are no longer the one in control. Your enemies will not need to strike you directly. They will simply provoke you and watch you destroy your own image. The powerful understand this and therefore treat emotion as a tool, not a reflex. They use it strategically, like a sword drawn only when necessary, and never let it control their hand. The world belongs to those who can stay calm when others burn. In every conflict, there are two kinds of people, those who are provoked and those who provoke. The first group believes that reacting shows strength, that striking back proves confidence. Yet in their haste, they reveal their weakness. Every reaction is proof that someone else has influence over your state of mind. When you let anger shape your words, you admit that the other person has entered your mind and conquered your composure. Control, once lost, cannot easily be regained, because the world sees not your logic but your instability. The wise never rush to react. They let the silence after an insult linger, forcing their opponent to wonder whether their attack even landed. That pause, calm, deliberate, unbroken, is a weapon sharper than rage. People fear those who cannot be read. When they cannot guess what you feel, they cannot predict your next move. And when they cannot predict your next move, they lose their balance, their confidence, their grip on control. The calm man becomes the master of chaos simply because he refuses to join it. Emotion must therefore be transformed from a reflex into a performance. The skilled manipulator knows how to appear angry without losing control, how to appear sad without being weak, how to appear pleased while hiding calculation. Emotion becomes theater, and every expression serves a purpose. It can inspire loyalty, create fear, or manufacture empathy. But the key is that it is always chosen, never spontaneous. To react is to be ruled. To use emotion as a mask is to rule others. People trust emotion because they assume it is real. That is why it can be the most powerful disguise. A controlled display of anger can silence dissent more effectively than a rational argument. A well-timed smile can soften suspicion and disarm critics. A calculated silence can turn accusation into guilt for those who speak against you. When you begin to see emotion as a strategic tool rather than a truth, you stop being a participant in the game and start becoming its designer. In negotiation, leadership, or confrontation, the calm mind holds the advantage. Emotion clouds judgment, calmness sharpens it. The one who stays composed while others lose control can see every weakness exposed by their opponent's reactions. Every angry outburst, every desperate justification, every nervous tone reveals something. A hidden insecurity, a fear, a desire. The calm observer collects these details like weapons, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. To those who live by emotion, the world is chaos. To those who master it, the world is predictable. There is an illusion that emotion makes you human, that restraint makes you cold or inauthentic. But power does not come to those who live by the standards of ordinary men. The crowd reacts, the ruler decides. The difference between the two is distance. The powerful maintain distance between what they feel and what they reveal. They learn to separate the storm within from the image they project. This separation is not deception, it is discipline. It allows you to feel deeply, yet never show weakness. It allows you to calculate even while appearing compassionate. It allows you to dominate without ever raising your voice. When people cannot read your emotions, they cannot manipulate you. They begin to respect you, though they may not understand why. They feel uneasy in your presence, uncertain whether their words have any effect. That uncertainty becomes your weapon. You become the center of gravity in every room, the point around which others orbit. Their energy becomes reactive, while yours remains deliberate. In that dynamic, control naturally shifts toward you. To master emotion is to master energy itself. Every interaction, every argument, every encounter is an exchange of emotional energy. Most people throw theirs away in bursts of anger or defensiveness. The wise conserve theirs, letting others expend themselves. When the storm has passed, it is the calm one who remains standing unshaken, unbroken, still holding command of the field. The ability to stay centered while others unravel is the mark of true dominance. Emotion is not to be suppressed but sculpted. The goal is not to become stone, but to become fire contained within glass, burning yet untouchable. You choose when to ignite, when to shine, and when to conceal the flame entirely. This balance of restraint and intensity creates an aura that draws people to you and keeps them wary of crossing you. They will mistake your composure for invincibility, and in their hesitation lies your advantage. Accusation is not a threat to the powerful. It is an opportunity. When weak men are accused, they scramble to clear their name, desperate to prove their innocence. But those who understand power know that accusation is not a trial of truth. It is a test of composure. The world does not judge based on facts. It judges based on presence. The moment you rush to defend yourself, you concede that someone else has the authority to define you. But if you refuse to bow to the weight of accusation, if you redirect its energy, you do not simply survive it. You transform it into strength. Every accusation carries hidden energy, and most waste it by reacting emotionally. They plead, explain, justify, and in doing so, validate the attacker's position. But the one who commands perception does not fight within the frame of accusation, he changes the frame itself. When someone attacks your character, do not enter their arena. Instead, subtly shift the focus until the accuser's motives become the new subject of scrutiny. Ask calmly and without defense why they feel so compelled to question you. The power dynamic reverses instantly. You are no longer the accused, you become the examiner. You force your challenger to reveal their hand, their insecurities, and their true intent. The skill lies not in denial, but in redirection. If they call you ruthless, you say that decisive leadership is often misunderstood by the timid. If they call you arrogant, you speak of confidence that unsettles the insecure. If they call you manipulative, you remind them that influence is the natural consequence of intelligence. Never meet accusation with contradiction, meet it with transformation. Take their words and reshape them into qualities of strength. This not only neutralizes their attack, but converts their attempt into proof of your superiority. Authority grows when others see that you cannot be shaken by the noise around you. The act of remaining composed in the face of accusation makes people doubt the accuser more than they doubt you. They begin to ask themselves if the charge were true. Why does he stand so calmly? Why does he not protest? Why does he look like the one in control? Human nature craves certainty, and when two sides clash, the calm one always appears to hold the truth. Composure is not silence, it is dominance without words. When you refuse to defend, you create a vacuum of explanation. That silence forces others to fill it with their own interpretations, and if you have already built an image of strength, they will fill it favorably. The more mysterious your reaction, the more people begin to doubt the legitimacy of the accusation. What begins as an attack becomes a testament to your resilience. Accusations lose power when they cannot provoke emotion. They depend on reaction to stay alive. Without your participation, they suffocate. Powerful individuals throughout history have understood this law. The accusation that does not find defense loses its teeth. The crowd remembers not who accused, but who stood unbroken. You do not have to convince anyone of your innocence. You only have to project the confidence of one who answers to no one. When you occupy that mental space, others instinctively align with your authority because people crave certainty more than truth. The one who appears untouchable becomes the one who leads. To turn accusation into authority, you must first stop fearing it. Understand that being accused is a sign of relevance. Only those who threaten the status quo attract hostility. When people attack you, it means your presence disturbs them. It forces them to confront something they cannot control. Accept this as proof of your impact. Use it as validation that your influence is being felt. The goal is not to avoid criticism, but to use it as fuel to reinforce your image. Every attack is a reflection of the accuser's weakness. Every attempt to discredit you confirms that you hold a form of power they envy or fear. The key is to remain internally steady while appearing outwardly confident. Never rush to respond. Let the tension hang. Let the air grow heavy with their words until it is they who feel uncomfortable for speaking. In that silence, you force them to explain themselves, to repeat, to exaggerate. The more they speak, the less they are believed. Meanwhile, your stillness becomes a monument to composure, and the balance of authority tips toward you. Accusation can also be weaponized deliberately. Sometimes you allow yourself to be misunderstood, knowing that your restraint will make others defend you on your behalf. The crowd loves to take sides, and when they see calmness under fire, they instinctively sympathize with the one who appears wronged. You make them do the work of defending your image, while you preserve your silence and mystique. This is the highest form of psychological mastery, when others protect your reputation without you lifting a word. When you learn to redirect accusation, it ceases to be a danger and becomes a mirror that reflects your strength. Every false claim, every whisper of criticism becomes a chance to reinforce your identity as someone above petty judgment. You turn hostility into theater and the stage into your domain. The moment you stop defending and start reframing, you step beyond the ordinary rules of conflict. You become untouchable not because you are without flaw, but because you decide how your flaws are seen. Power is not about who speaks the loudest. It is about who defines the meaning of what is being said. The true contest of influence is not fought through logic or morality, but through framing. The frame is the invisible border that determines how reality is perceived. Whoever controls the frame controls the interpretation of events, and whoever controls the interpretation controls the outcome. Most people lose power not because they lack intelligence, but because they accept the frame set by others. They react, they defend, they explain, and in doing so, they fight inside a prison built by their opponent's words. The powerful, on the other hand, never fight within another's frame. They create their own, and they make others live inside it. The frame defines context. In a conversation, in a negotiation, or in a conflict, the one who establishes the premise dictates what is true and what is false. If someone accuses you, they are inviting you into their frame, a world where you must prove your innocence, where you are already beneath them. If you accept this, you have already lost. The moment you start answering questions based on their terms, you are confirming their authority. But if you reject their premise altogether, if you shift the focus or redefine the question, you reclaim control. When you control the frame, you decide what the discussion means, what matters, and what does not. A master of influence understands that reality itself is malleable because human beings crave certainty more than truth. They prefer a confident lie over an uncertain fact. So the key is not to be right, but to define what right means in the first place. If you appear unwavering, composed, and certain, your version of reality will become the dominant one. People unconsciously align themselves with confidence because the human mind is drawn to stability. The one who defines the frame provides psychological stability, while those who question it appear chaotic. This is why leaders, manipulators, and visionaries throughout history have all shared the same instinct. They define, and others follow. To control the frame, you must master detachment. Never allow yourself to be emotionally pulled into another person's agenda. When someone provokes you, their goal is to make you react inside the world they have designed. If you stay calm, you deny them that satisfaction. Then, with precision, you redefine the situation in a way that serves your interests. For example, if someone accuses you of arrogance, you might respond not by denying it but by reframing it. Confidence unsettles those who lack it. In that instant, you elevate yourself above the accusation and turn the insult into a compliment. You've shifted the frame from judgment to admiration. Framing is not only defense, it is offense. It allows you to steer entire conversations without appearing to do so. When you introduce an idea, do not argue for it directly. Simply present it as if it were already accepted truth. People resist persuasion, but they rarely question what is presented as inevitable. If you speak as though something is, others begin to treat it as real. Power grows from this subtle manipulation of perception. You are no longer trying to convince, you are conditioning belief. The frame becomes invisible, yet it shapes everything. Observe how people interact when conflict arises. The weak argue within boundaries they did not set. The strong expand or erase those boundaries altogether. Every question they answer leads back to their advantage. Every challenge becomes a demonstration of control. Even silence can serve as framing. It creates discomfort, forcing others to interpret your stillness as superiority. In every exchange, the frame is the hidden battlefield, and most do not even know it exists. But the one who sees it can bend every confrontation to his will without ever raising his voice. The art of framing depends on certainty. When you present your version of reality, you must embody conviction so fully that doubt seems impossible. If you hesitate, the illusion collapses. But if you speak with unwavering authority, others will instinctively yield. The world is full of uncertain people looking for someone to tell them how things are. The powerful satisfy that need not through truth, but through control of meaning. They dictate what is relevant, what is moral, what is urgent, and what is trivial. Once your words define these categories, resistance becomes futile. Your opponents may argue, but they will do so inside your definitions. To control the frame also means mastering timing. You must know when to seize the moment to redefine the narrative. When an event threatens your position, do not respond immediately. Let the noise rise, let confusion spread, then step in calmly and redefine the situation with absolute clarity. Your delayed response will appear as calculated wisdom. People will forget the chaos that came before and remember only your conclusion. In this way, you erase the frame others tried to build and replace it with your own. Frames can also be reinforced through symbolism and repetition. Power thrives on consistency. The more often you repeat your chosen interpretation of events, the more it becomes accepted reality. People rarely remember details, they remember tone and confidence. When they hear the same message delivered with calm authority, they begin to internalize it. The frame becomes truth not through evidence but through endurance. Control the frame, and you no longer have to defend yourself, argue, or persuade. The world bends around your perspective because you have made it the dominant one. Every challenge becomes an accessory to your story. Every opposition a supporting role in your narrative. The one who defines the game never fears losing because he decides the rules, the playing field, and the meaning of victory itself. Power is not seized through force alone. It is maintained through mastery of perception, emotion, and control. The one who rises above defense, who treats emotion as a weapon rather than a weakness, who turns accusation into advantage and shapes reality through framing, becomes untouchable. Strength in this world does not belong to the loud, but to the composed, not to the righteous, but to the strategic. The essence of dominance lies not in fighting every battle, but in deciding which ones exist. When you stop defending, when you stop reacting, when you begin to shape what others see and believe, you transcend the chaos of ordinary men. You become the architect of your own image, the quiet center around which all things revolve. Power, then, is not about control over others. It is about control over yourself, so complete that others have no choice but to follow the order you silently create.